Hey guys, my name is Alicor, and I wanted to talk a bit today about the state of trading in Dreadmyst. If you don't know, Dreadmyst is a free MMORPG developed by one person. Equipment in Dreadmyst shares some similarities with how items are in Diablo 2 and Path of Exile, and that is mainly that they have randomly assigned things such as quality, armor type, and affixes. Affixes are what gives the gear its stats. Some affixes are really good, some are not so good. But the important thing to know is that there's a large element of RNG involved in acquiring good gear in this game. So players trade to get the things they want. Dreadmyst had a third-party trading website called Dreadmyst DB that was very similar to the trading websites for Path of Exile. You could list your items there and people could find your name on them and hit you up in game to try and buy them from you. Recently, however, the developer of Dreadmyst DB seems to have vanished, leaving the website inactive with a page up that says that it's under maintenance. Since that happened, players have had to try to sell their items in-game via the trade chat channel, which has turned out to be a horrible experience due to the sheer volume of loot we deal with and the limitations of trade chat. You can only advertise one item once every minute. Pricing is all over the place and nonsensical since there's no central hub for people to refer to. And staring at the chat, scanning for items you need based on their affixes is kind of headache-inducing. There is a third-party website that scans trade chat and creates listings that are filterable and more digestible for your eyeballs. But it's still not super great because it's based on the limitations of trade chat still, instead of just letting you create persistent listings that last for a long duration. Regardless, the only things that really seem to sell at all right now are the best items in the game, basically. I've seen many people claim that they haven't been able to sell anything at all since this happened, and the same is true for me. The community turned to the game developer for a solution because the majority of us realized how bad it feels to try to play this game without a trade solution on the level of Dreadmyst DB. We were told no to having an auction house implemented, and the solution that was implemented was creating a channel on Discord called Auction House, where people have to post either transcribed lists of all their items, which is terrible, or post a ton of screenshots of their items. So as a buyer, you'd have to then sift through everyone's posts of all the items they have in their banks to try and find the items that you want. If they transcribe them, it's terrible for the seller because they have to do that. And then you get to search via text for the items that you want. Or, the buyer takes the easy route and they post screenshots and then you can't search without using your eyeballs. So, not a great solution. The reasoning given was that he wanted the game to be like Diablo 2, where you would have to use the D2 JSP forms to trade in order to force player interaction. The problem is, no one has the time or the desire to do this. No one wants to sit there and stare at trade chat either. We used to have the time for D2 JSP because we didn't have jobs or other things to do. Even if we had the time, no one wants to sit there and do this. We want to play the game. The only reason D2 JSP was the way that it was because we didn't have the tech or the expertise back then to make it better. And so, up until this point, I was continuing to play and run dungeons and accumulate gear I couldn't sell. Then I went live last night and I realized during my stream that I no longer had a carrot on the stick, keeping me working towards a goal. I couldn't get the gear I wanted. I couldn't make more money. I lost motivation to run dungeons, even though I enjoy the hell out of my cleric. Meanwhile, the game is currently tanking in player count, and I'm seeing many people saying they don't want to continue playing like this. The game only had 9 active channels earlier today. It's kind of deflating, you know? I made a post in the suggestions channel on Discord titled, "We need a real trading solution that isn't a form," less than 24 hours ago. And it's already amassed over 1,500 comments. The gist of that post is that the game is good and fun, but trading is not. The trade website offered a solution to that problem, and now that it's gone, it's glaringly obvious to almost everyone who plays the game. The majority seem to agree we need something better, but we haven't heard anything yet beyond the whole no auction house thing I mentioned before. It doesn't even need to be an auction house. It can literally be the same as Dreadmyst DB, just in-game. And then that way you at least know the person actually has the item they've listed, and you don't need to worry about the fake listings that were kind of plaguing Dreadmyst DB. My drive to play the game is already dwindling, but I enjoy the game and I want it to do well. With the influx of new players hopefully coming when the game returns to Steam on February 5th, I worry they won't stick around once they see how they'll have to trade. And small tangent, that update that made it so that when you kill somebody in PvP, you steal 1,000 gold from them. I have a feeling that's going to be really, really bad for the new players that come in who have barely any gold when they're around like level 20 to 25. But that's beside the point. Even worse, though, I think we're going to continue to hemorrhage players as it is. And once they're gone, they're unlikely to return. At the end of the day, XJum, the developer, he's obviously free to do whatever he wants. It's his game, his vision, it's free, obviously. If people don't like how it is, they should leave. But who knows? Maybe by making enough noise, we'll get through. I have to imagine, though, that he wants people to play since he's doing all this work. The question is, how important is that vision versus having people there to see it? On that note, I asked several content creators if they'd like to contribute any clips of them talking about the issue, so I'll play those now. Scourge didn't have a clip handy, but he gave me a quote to share, and that is, "Intentionally making trading tedious will ruin the game. XD."
I just don't interact with trade anymore. SSF for life. So yeah, so that's a common sentiment. I share the sentiment. I don't really interact with trade anymore. I do solo self-found for life because I find the barriers to trading being too time consuming. I understand the thought process of wanting to build a reputation within the game and talk with people into the game. But it's too time consuming when the average person, the average gamer has 2 to 4 hours to play each night. And then how do you convince them to spend their 2 to 4 hours each night on your game? Well, if an hour and a half of that has to be in trading, they're just going to, 1, not play your game, or 2, opt out of trading. And so it defeats the social interaction of trading because people are just going to opt out. And opting out feels bad because then you start hitting a wall in the game for progression at times. And, you know, the aforementioned 2 to 4 hours is not enough in a lot of cases to overcome that wall, right? Some people like Dreadmyst database. Some people think it's easily manipulated and it's happy to be down, right? Because you could list fake items to drive up the prices, right? A lot of people were like, I have an item to sell. I'm going to list fake items to drive up the prices, and then I'm going to list my real item. And that feels bad. So you don't, because that's market manipulation, and market manipulation is illegal in the real market for a reason, right? I mean, you know, I don't have to explain that across the board, but that's why something in-game, regulated in-game, that allows people to not create fake listings is probably the way to go. Some people say an auction house. Some people say an in-game trade forum, right? You know, something along those lines.
I mean, if you look at PoE has like whole websites that are integrated with the system in order to buy and sell shit, and it works flawlessly. So I don't understand why XChum is choosing to die on this hill. Everyone is saying they want this, and he's just adamant about not adding it. Again, like I've said before, it's his game. He can do whatever he wants with it. And I mean, who are we to complain? It's a free-to-play game. It's his passion project. If we want to play it, we should just be happy with what's being served. But I don't understand why he's choosing this hill to die on. I've been consistently saying he's been hitting nothing but W's with this game. Every single update, every single thing he's done has been such a major like quality of life or a good improvement to the game that everyone has enjoyed and everyone has liked.
I have gotten... This is not even a joke. I have traded 90% less, if not more, ever since Dreadmyst DB was fucking lost to the void. And even more so, ever since the trade chat was changed, and now it's the only viable reason, and we have an auction house Discord channel, it is... I can't even mention more than 2 people I've traded with over the past 3 days. Normally, like, a good bunch of this gear is sellable. That's why it's in this tab. A good bunch of this gear is sellable. That's why it's in this tab. Like, bro, we got armor for days. We got crystal for the melee clerics. We got elephant chest plays. We got butchering wolves. We got a shit ton of bows and shields and kind of starter items we could sell for like a few $100K a pop. But I just don't want to waste my time in trade chat spamming that shit. Like, dude, I got dungeons to run. I got speed runs to do, you know? You see what I mean? I'll give him that. Exactly. Like, aren't they interacting when they're buying and selling? For sure. When I was on that website looking for items, I could kind of filter out. I would look at items and I would be like, that is a fake post right there. That guy, I'm not going to whisper. This guy wants to sell an undying elephant pristine chest plate for 200K. Yeah, right, buddy. That's a bot. That is a troll post. But then I would find a guy who's like maybe selling it for 9 mil, 8, 9 mil. I would hit him up in DMs, be like, yo, what's up, dude? And he would, like, most times, if you haggled with a guy that you found on Dreadmyst DB, it would be fair game. He would be like, yeah, I could do that. Can you do like 6.5? Yeah, we can look at it, like blah, blah, blah. It's the art of haggling, and it doesn't disappear just because you have a website for people to do it on. Like, it's definitely not a game killer. It's the opposite.
I have a clip from Switch TV as well that I don't think I can use because it has music in it that may get copyright flagged. But he basically says people are used to modern trade systems in games, and there's no point in going back to something like D2 JSP because it's archaic and it feels forced in this instance. He doesn't think the community wants it, and it's going to have a negative impact on the game. Thank you guys for pitching in, and you guys should go give them all a follow and check them out whenever they're live. I'll end by thanking everyone for contributing to the conversation. It's much appreciated. Until next time, lates.